What's going on, guys? Goose on the 13th here with another video. It's finally happened after I was spitballing about it for so long. On the week of the 27th of November 2025, the Destiny Gundam is here. Another AU suit for both Steam and PlayStation. Rocking its usual stuff, and go figure we get this before we get the lauded legendary freedom over here, let alone the TV and all that other stuff. But just in the middle of November, we got another 700 general for space and ground, space priority here, as well as melee priority of 2. Definitely a mixed bag and a lot of interesting stuff that doesn't really gel well together, especially when we get into the suit's gimmick later on. But brass tacks, everything on this right out of the gate except for the Vulcans is actually heat based. The only thing that's not beyond that is the Palma, which is also a really weird situation here. So fires a beam directly from the palm, dealing damage without losing power. It's an instant knockdown for the most part unless you bash somebody's shield. Unfortunately, because it's not melee, it's actually just ranged, but the range is 10 meters. And 5,000 power, pretty much just for clotheslining people. The rifle, in contrast, 2900, heat rate of 75, range of 350, and it does have a burst down for its charge shot. No regular sabers here, just going straight to the erudite beam sword. Big chunky fucker of a thing. Very big, wind up for its downswing, kind of a chainsaw effect on that for multi-hit. And when we get into the other gimmick, it actually has a different behavior for this altogether. The Vulcans then, more or less 15 shots on anything with no damage control on it for the stun. Good rate of fire with a range of 200 on this, and a power of 130 with 60 shots. Then we have the high energy long range beam cannon. All these have like mush mouth level of like just names on them going on. But 3700 here, heat rate of 85% and a range of 400, easily the longest range thing on this suit. Talking about that cooldown time of 3 seconds, overheat of 20, and a focus time of 2.5. So this also does have a just regular burst. Most of this can be shot in the air, including the boomerangs, which can be thrown in the air. And it does have a Gurobi, although the duration time for that is relatively short. Then we have the boomerangs, because most of them had these. FE beams. Counts as melee. And can be shot in the air, so you can actually get some pretty good interruptions. Unfortunately, the wind up for the throw is actually a little bit too long. And then we have the shield generator here, so we do have a beam shield. And when they say size small, they mean size small. This is not an easy shield to get quick swats for extra damage out with, but it does have a power of 2500, shield HP of 5500, cooldown time of 2.5, and an overheat of 20 seconds. Getting into the stats here, unfortunately, the guy that I'm borrowing this from upgraded everything, so math. But 23k health, ballistic beam and melee resistance are 20, 26, and 32. Range strength of 33, melee strength of about, what was that, 37? My lord. Movement speed of 140, top speed of 225, and a thruster gauge of 80. Turning speed of 84. Part slots then are 19, 21, and 12. Obviously, as you can see here, it's already upgraded. Good laundry list of skills here as well. Emergency evasion system 3, actually, so you get some extra stuff out there. Obviously, if you boost or anything, you're gonna blow that third roll, and it's kind of whatever. More often than not, it just means that you just have 2 for sure, no matter what. Anti-blast stabilizer 1, high performance thruster control system. Fall prevention system, glide structure, which is interesting that they have fall prevention system and a couple other things, but they don't let the Gurobi for that beam rifle or beam cannon last super long. Melee composite system 1, high spec AMBEC 2. Nova armor 1, aerial melee system. Flat booster 2, immobile firing system. Special back add-on buffer, high performance counter program. Variable phase shift armor, so when post landing or post high speed movement, leg overload occurs, or when attacked by ballistic range weapons, damage and stagger caused by cumulative damage are reduced. If head, legs, back are attacked, there's an additional reduction to damage. So as you can see here, especially because it's variable phase shift and not necessarily what was going on with the freedom, it's just damage in general, no ballistic or anything specific like that. We also have the Hyper-Deuterium engine. An ally beacon is within 300-meter radius and your unit is not attacking. Thruster recovery and thruster overheat recovery speeds will increase. This brings out something interesting with the ally beacons, because obviously the big thing about capturing beacons is that you get spawn points. And I get that, and I like that, that's fine. But I do wish that you would get certain other perks for having them. Having a certain radius where they would actually detect enemies and put them on your ODL would be neat. Obviously things like this where you can crouch near one and maybe get some extra resupply or healing would also be pretty cool. Just things to encourage you to actually, you know, stick around them and to, you know, maintain them until you actually go in for the base bomb or whatever. Max Performance S. So activates automatically when HP goes under 50%, but only once, fully restoring HP of all parts. When activated, attack power and mobility are boosted for 80 seconds. An offense system level 1 skill is provided. Also, reduction is made in thruster consumption when starting high-speed movement, while damage taken and staggered due to cumulative damage during high-speed movement are also reduced. The performance of skill-compatible weapons will also be altered, and when moving forward at high speed with a compatible weapon is selected, an assault stance is taken, staggering and damaging all enemies collided with. Nullifies all reactions except for knockback due to cumulative damage only at the point of skill activation. So, interesting, especially considering that I'm pretty sure the one on the freedom is actually touch-based. It's just got a button. In this case, you got to get your ass beat first. But obviously, a lot of high damage stuff. Decent amount of damage pool. Some of the behaviors that change when you get into that mode are cool, but can foul you up if you get hit like mid, you know, combo or attack. Now we have the upgrades here. So +1 to melee modifier, +1 to thrusters, +100 to suit HP. And then at the very end here, we have conflict expansion slot. And then for the unlockables, we have +5 to melee modifier and reduces melee damage to mobile suit HP by 5% when toppled. Okay, that's the kind of the long and short of it for all that. Oh my god. I'm gonna take it into practice here, and hopefully I will stop yawning. My lord. Load faster, I beg. Thank you. Goddamn. So, let's go down the long and short over here. So, regular stun. Also regular stun when it's not hitting a shield. So the Palma here. Also instant knockdown. Like I was saying before, there are some behaviors where if it hits the shield and blasts it, then it'll still stun, but it won't knock them down. I don't know if that's intentional. It seems kind of bullshitty. And then the charge on the beam cannon here. Very big hitbox, as you can see. It hit all of them. And obviously that was a little bit of an off angle, but you can still steer that. But again, like you saw, not a big Gurobi duration on that. This is actually not instant stun per. You have to hit with at least 2 of these in order to get enough accumulation on anything that doesn't have damage control, yada yada. And you get 4 shots to do it. He's in this case, you count as melee, you can guide him a little bit. The downswing on this is actually just a big old charge with the chainsaw multi-hit kind of situation going on. And then for the Vulcans, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? 15 or so. Good amount of rate of fire there. A little bit steadier than some other things at this cost range that have been released recently, which is honestly probably for the best. Oh, does this count? Yeah, it might for that one thing. Hold on. But obviously, yeah, you can do that in the air as well. In fact, in particular, if you can glance somebody with that, you can catch them in the air and just knock them out. That's pretty nice. But in order to show off the other stuff that this can do, Gotta bring ourselves to 50. So you can see there we got essentially 120 for the time. Everything for the most part works the same. The big thing is the saber. Instant knockdown now on your hits. And the downswing is this really big wind up slam that does like 13k plus, depending on what you're hitting. Obviously you can kind of just lead into the side swipe with that. Just knock down a bunch of people like it's just a big old baseball bat. And then the charge, as you can see, you can just run into people with your saber out while this is happening, immediately confirm with that, and then do some other stuff. It's not bad. Pretty interesting. Obviously, they're not going to let you do like a huge downswing or whatever like that, or just knock people over with this. But keep in mind that this is a thing. You just come out with that extra charge when you're in this mode. Now, the big gripe is that it's only once per life. You can't really redo it because it's just kind of a low health gimmick proc. And once it's done, it's done. You know, so there's something to be said about the idea of like building for survivability kind of biting you in the ass once this skill is over. But still can get a good amount of work done there in terms of the base busting potential of this suit. And the rifle and all that does do a decent amount of work. The Palma actually does like a visible chunk out of that. Not bad. And obviously the burst down on the rifle, very helpful. In general, the sword, which you would think would do more because this is supposed to be meant to help downshifts and stuff, would do a little bit more. But not really. Still, on the surface, very put together suit. Nothing overwhelmingly crazy about it. A little bit too honest in some ways, but the damage is definitely there. Obviously you can jack the melee damage up even more pretty easily. But I will say that its pacing is a little bit slower than some other suits, unless you're really taking advantage of that threshold skill to get in those like quick confirms when boosting forward and all that other stuff. But like the wind up on that version of the downswing is slow. The time that it takes to bust out the Tonfa or whatever, not particularly fast either. It's not too hard to modify to hit a little bit harder with everything that you do connect with, and obviously having the Palma, which you can just fire for an instant knockdown on the move, you can do it while boosting, is pretty crazy. And I don't really think we've had another suit like that outside of the battering ram on the ground Zeta raid. But we do have a match. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is a pain in the ass to run. There are a lot of little things about this that kind of grind my gears when it comes to how it behaves, especially when it comes to going in between those modes. But like I said, damage is there, and we did finally get a one after a couple tries, and we're gonna put that one right around here.
Get that limited mission done for the rating.
It always feels bad to be the token A. I hate when I get stuck in matches like that.
I like the token A when I queued up with a whole platform, they're all like high-ranking players. If I can get into a lobby and it's like 7 Rev members and they're all just like practicing against each other, and now you're sitting here like, why am I here?
It's just a suffer. Ooh.
Don't swim when I'm like 5.
Oh, there's two bugs already.
Now it's a full
Wait, really? I was close enough for that to fucking not kick, goddamn. Oh, I didn't come out. Okay. Alright.
You know what it feels like? It feels like being in a tournament of power, what you're Yamcha.
Oh god.
Like Krillin, I get it, right? It's okay. Yamcha, what are you gonna
Hey, that Mr. Roshi was in there too, and he's even weaker.
Yeah, just the whole running stick is that they didn't want to bring him anyway.
So I do like how they gave
Oh my god, brother.
in that arc was just how badass he was and everything, trying to be an actual mature adult.
大丈夫大丈夫、まだまだいけますわ。
Well, the back people wanted to, one of them was wanting to Cell, and I'm just sitting there like, you really want to bring Cell and Android 18 in?
大丈夫ですか？慎重に。
Like,
お気をつけ。
that's rude.
Yeah, that was weird.
早く脱出
I was
した方
like,
がいいんじゃないの？
what? He's just such a popular character in
Yeah, I think it's a problem. I feel like it's a problem.
yeah, I just know there's a lot of people from Mexico that love
敵モビルスーツ
that.
撃破。
Look at that. Light it enough fire.
Me, my favorite villain will always be Frieza because I grew up watching
味方が敵のモビルスーツを撃破。
both in Spanish, Japanese, and in English when it was not even fully released.
Damn.
Bro, I was so young, I had to beg my mom to let me record that video. I don't know where that shit is.
味方が敵のモビルスーツを撃破しましたわ。再出撃の場所と方法を選択してくださいね。大
Oh,
変。
was it the fact I said
味方
VHS?
がやられてしまいましたわ。
No, I was going to say he's only watching those dubs. He hasn't watched the best definitive
出撃をお願いします。
Oh no.
The Ocean Dub one?
Ugh.
Yeah, where Vegeta's just fucking.
I never
going
had
at
that
it.
luxury.
味方が敵
I
の
never
モ
had
ビル
that
スーツを
luxury.
撃破しま
I
したわ。
tried finding it, but nope.
Have you at least seen the clip of it?
Yeah, I saw the
It's
clip.
going.
Oh my god.
味方がやられてしまいましたわ。
Have you not seen that one?
I think I have, yeah. Also, is that
中
like
継地点を制圧した方が。
Oh my god. That's an instant knockdown. And it's range.
大丈夫大丈
It's
夫。
just really stumpy.
まだいけますわ。味方が敵のモビルスーツを撃破しましたわ。
Oh, the Palma he's talking about. Palma fettuccine.
大変。
Oh, the throwable thing. Conflict.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they said.
Yeah, they stagger.
Yeah.
They stagger and they're melee based.
And that one suit.
味方がやられてしまいましたわ。
Yeah. I just keep forgetting that fucking
大丈夫です。
Oh my god.
and it's not gonna knock it out of the air.
お気をつけて。 早く脱出した方がいいんじゃないの？味方が敵のモビルスーツを撃破しましたわ。大変。味方がモビルスーツ大破。 味方が敵のモビルスーツを撃破しましたわ。出撃お願いします。
Don't you hit you from an angle?
大丈夫大丈夫。
He's getting held down, but he's not really getting hurt. There we go. No more. He's getting a leg. Just shoot him.
私敵モビルスーツ撃破。 大変。味方がやられてしまいましたわ。
Yeah, I'm just getting scared.
ねえ、早く脱
I'm
出した方がい
trying,
いんじ
but
ゃないの？
DS9 it just can't keep up with the wing zeros and those all
モビルスーツ大破。 味方が敵のモビルスーツを撃破しましたわ。
Oh my god.
大変。味方がやられてしまいましたわ。出撃お願いします。 作戦残り時間 分ですが拠点の重要
That's so stuffy.
大丈夫大丈夫まだまだいけ
No.
大丈夫ですか慎重にお気をつけて味方が敵のモビルねえ早く脱出して
Oh my god. Go hit somebody else. Fuck.
They're not having that argument, sorry. Give them names, Rico. At least I could have punished them.
味方が敵のモビルスーツを撃破しましたわ
What is shooter ever?
作戦残り時間1分きっと勝てますわモビルスーツ大破味方が敵のモビルスーツを撃破大変味方がやられてしまいましたわ
You without doing anything. Good night. Alright,
Like I
see you later,
didn't see you
Tino.
coming from behind.
Have a good one.
大変味方が出撃をお願いします中継地点を制圧大丈夫
I don't know, I thought that was gonna reach.
まだいけます
Stumpy.
大丈夫ですか慎重にお気をつけてね
Did it too soon.
Flying and I'm trying to fight this guy.
え早く脱出
Oh my lord.
Happy now, you stupid whiny.
勝利しましたわねあな
Now
た
it feels like I'm
とっても
carrying
かっこ
the
よか
ass
ったです
group.
わよ
Ooh, what a pain in the ass. Because there's a bunch of us running around anyway. But yeah, I mean, Sazabi, it fails the litmus test. It's not replacing the Sazabi or the missile boat, so
Yep.
could be that way.
I don't think they're replaced properly sometimes.
Mm.
Yeah, you gotta know how to use that thing. A lot of people don't.
So that was our run in the Destiny. Definitely an interesting suit. Not one that I'm going to be able to run a whole lot on my account until I get it later on, because this is just me borrowing it from a friend's account to check it out. But even in that match, we were able to do a lot of work. It feels like the combos and stuff are a little disjointed. Maybe when we get some people really finding out ways to string these a little bit more coherently in terms of combos and stuff, we'll see a bit more done with these, and we maybe see them be prominent outside of this first week. If anything, that's what I'm interested in, is really seeing like what happens once we get out of the honeymoon phase for this suit, and if it really does become like a very simple but effective staple for this costume. Because to be honest, right out of the gate, the usual litmus test applies when it comes to, does this really replace anything that the Sazabi or the Double Zeta can do? And the answer to me right out of the gate is no. It's not a necessary thing. This is another thing where it's just like, yeah, you can probably put in a lot of work with it. We can put in a lot of work with a lot of other suits. And a lot of them that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get. And once again, when holidays are on the corner, this definitely feels like a bait banner. They're just like, oh, people love see Destiny, that's crazy. They'll definitely shell out for this, and then we get some other bullshit in the holidays that people are gonna want it even more. So, you know, if you want it, you probably already got it. If you're hemming and hawing about whether or not you're gonna need it, I would say not really. You know, if you're just worried about getting in there with something that's, you know, viable enough and just trying to win, then, you know, you already have your choices. There's still plenty out there, and a lot of them are pretty accessible when it comes to like Sazabi, Double Zeta, all that crap. But it is neat, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of these buzzing around within the week. So let me know how you guys feel about the new suit in the comments. Share, like, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And until next time, I hope you guys have a good rest of your morning, night, or whatever. And I'll talk to you in the next video.